Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It is a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios. Locations across the state of Florida, right there in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Go check them out. International Diamond Center. Missed it last night. The Thunder tie up the Western Conference Finals. The Avalanche lose to the Golden Knights in hockey. And you got some Eastern Conference stuff that kicks off tonight. Gator baseball, big win yesterday against Vanderbilt. They play, I think, around 4:30, 5 o'clock today against Alabama. Big game. A lot of people think they win that game. They will be a top 8 seed. And then, of course, tomorrow at 11 a.m., Lady Gator softball versus Texas Tech in the Super Regionals. Win 2, you go to OKC. Let's go to the Titan MR hotline. Our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beaird, joins us. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Shane, doing well. And look, as you know, when you've got softball and baseball going on, the main thing you hope for is no rain, or at least rain at different times. So, and again, the baseball is just down to single elimination. So, but look, no doubt, these are the two best conferences in softball and baseball that there are.
That is absolute truth. So we'll see how it goes, but a huge game today for Gator baseball. Brent, we've had ACC meetings last week. Big Ten meetings are this week.
That's right. Yeah, the meetings are basically ending soon, and the SEC is next week. So there's a lot that's going on, to say the least. Now, again, the big talk is what's going to happen with the playoffs. We've got 12 right now. Do we go to 16 or do we go to 24, which is what a lot of these conferences are talking about. And the Big Ten has made it quite clear. Tony Petitti, the commissioner, said that they want to go to 24. He said, Shane, they've had zero conversation about going to 16. So there's going to be a compromise in here somewhere. And the big date that we need to keep in mind is if they're going to change the format of the playoffs, they've got to do that by the first week of December. So they've got some time, but you and I both know these things can creep up on you pretty quickly. So it's going to be a very interesting week next week in Destin, particularly for the SEC.
Yeah, and we've talked about it on this program. One of the holdups, I believe, too, from eliminating the conference championship game is the amount of money that one game, especially the SEC, generates. Do they think that having home playoff games can make up for that money?
Well, what Shane's talking about is basically $100 million for one game. That is a lot of money, to say the least. Now, the other championship games or the other conferences, they don't generate the kind of money the SEC does. But yes, Shane, to your question, if they do so, let me say this: we'll have more information next week about what the game generates for the SEC. If they were to do away with it, what they would have to come up with in order to make up that kind of money. And that's a lot of money, to say the least. So, there's some thought about, well, does the SEC have some alternative plans? They're just things like that we don't know yet. But the Big Ten, and Tony Petitti made it very clear, they are not interested in 16 teams. We've got 12 now. They want to go to 24. Now the SEC from Greg Sankey would be fine with going to 16. They're not as on board with 24. And the other entity here that we've got to mention is television, particularly ESPN, who has the SEC games, is more interested in either staying at 12 or going to 16. They're not as on board as some of the other conferences are with 24. And the other thing we have to think about here is, even though the ACC and the Big 12 want to go to 24, in the end, the decision makers are the Big 10 and the SEC. And Shane, that hasn't changed.
My guy Archie Manning turned 77 this week, Brent, and I spoke with Archie to see if he was going to come watch Arch play in the Swamp last year. He's like, I just don't get around very well anymore. I think he's still mentally sharp. He's a lot like Coach Spurrier, has trouble walking around.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Archie Manning is turned 77 on Tuesday. Look, if people have never seen Archie play, they really need to. He was one of the greatest, can we say, dual threat quarterbacks, Shane, the league's ever had.
Oh,
they
yeah,
didn't have the publicity, but they didn't have the publicity back then. And again, people will remember that the game games that Archie played. Help me on this. That Archie played with a broken arm, which is amazing. He was able to do that. So, and Archie's frankly pretty humble guy. I mean, when he's in the stands, he almost tries to hide and not take any attention away from his family, particularly Arch. But yes, 77 years old and going strong, right?
That's right. Ruse Ogre State Farm offers a deep team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. Brent, what are the chances of the UCF and South Florida game getting back on the schedule?
A lot of people would love to see that. They have not played since 2022. I think right now both teams really actually want to do it. And you may have heard some differences on this, but look, it's a natural rivalry. They're very close. It certainly helps them on travel with that. So hopefully that's going to happen with both of them. They both are looking at new facilities and so forth. So I think that would help the state of Florida for them to play on a regular basis.
Yeah, they need to play that game for sure. Brian's question for you on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. Brent, how do you explain all the optimism around the Gator football program right now? I want to be optimistic too, but who's to say we haven't seen the same story before in the recent years at UF?
Well, I will say this: that there's something different right now at Florida. And it's not just, I think, just optimism coming out of thin air. I think they know they're building something. To me, the smartest thing they're doing, and I'm interested in your comment on it too, is they're building from the line of scrimmage. They know they've got to improve that, and they're doing so. They've got they had a Leighton Van Brand, one of the offensive linemen they were after, actually chose Auburn, but Van Norden, who is 6'7", 265, he's at Bishop McNamara. He is coming aboard. My understanding is, and look, John Summerall is really taking advantage of the media. I know he's been here in Jacksonville. Or at least he has been open to being interviewed. He's a good interview. Look, and I may be totally wrong, but I think this guy is a real deal. And what he's done to me so far is amazing, and really, really appreciate his openness with the media. and how refreshing that is. So, I mean, Shane, look, we won't know till he gets on the field, but right now off the field, he seemed to have done all the right things he's needed to do.
Yeah, he's done a phenomenal job, traveling the state of Florida, kind of opening up the program to a lot of media people. And, that'll probably chime down a little bit now that season's going to be cranking up here in a month or so. But I think he's done a tremendous job hiring people. And as Franklin says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Buster Faulkner has a lot to do with it. I agree
No
1000%.
question.
That is the key.
Yeah, me too.
That is the key. All right, Brent, let's start. Let's go around the Southeastern Conference. Alabama, they were in the playoffs last year. I don't want to say there's pressure on, well, there is pressure on Kalen DeBoer, but what's going on in Tuscaloosa, and do they need to make the playoffs again this year for his job security?
Well, my understanding is, now he just signed a big deal to continue as the Alabama coach. So he's not going to be, unless they have an unmitigated disaster, and I don't think they will. He will. He'll be fine even with the subpar year, but that would add a lot of pressure on it. He's got two quarterbacks who are really good, but what I've learned from Shane Matthews and working with him over the years, that doesn't mean a thing until you get on the field and start producing. So Austin Mack and Keelan Russell have a lot of promise as far as where they're going with this offense. The thing they've realized is they've got to rebuild their line of scrimmage. They have not been very good, frankly, at the line, and that's where they're going now. They're putting more emphasis on it. Frankly, they think they can run the ball better. I mean, they were terrible last year. Let's just be honest with running the football. They've got a pretty, I don't know if easy is the word I want to use, particularly with Georgia in there. Their first half of the schedule is easier than the second half of the schedule, but now with 9 SEC games, that's going to be tough for everybody. But DeBoer has learned, and they're hoping he can apply that on the field, so that they are certainly a team to watch this year.
Yeah, interesting team. Gators go to Auburn week 3. What's going on
Yes.
on the Plains?
Yeah, Byron Brown, their quarterback, who comes from Irish State, is that they're very excited about what he's going to be able to do. A lot of that, and a lot of his teammates are coming with him. Also, Alex Golish, I mean, he likes his team, but look, there's a learning curve for every coach who gets into the SEC. And we've got that this year, certainly at Auburn, and we certainly got it at Arkansas, certainly got it at Florida for that matter too. To me, I think Brown's going to be okay, and he's got the wide receivers and the running backs. My question is going to be, Shane, are they going to have the line of scrimmage that you've got to have in this league? And that remains to be seen.
Yeah. What can you tell us about the Gators? Obviously, they've been doing really well on the recruiting front. I talked to someone yesterday, and they told me there's more coming. I don't know what we're doing, but they're doing a very good job on the recruiting front.
They are doing as well as any team in America, frankly, right now in recruiting. This will be a top 10 class from what we understand. And you mentioned Buster Faulkner a few minutes ago. A lot of people are excited about him. They're excited about these quarterbacks. As we've said, they are recruiting well. Shane, I don't remember. Maybe you do an off season, and I don't necessarily want to use the word successful because we don't know that yet. But I mean, basically, to me, everything they've done has been they've done a really good job with. So we will wait and see. But I don't think it's that Gators. I've talked to some fans and say, look, I'm excited and disappointed. They said I'm excited, but I don't want to be disappointed. So I think that's kind of where everybody is, but I can understand the excitement. I think that's apropos.
Yes. Georgia Bulldogs. Brent, I know people joke around about it all the time, but it truly is amazing how many times these kids have been caught speeding.
It is, and Jamarlee Ridley is one of their safeties. The same thing happened to him the other day, and I mean, you're right about that. It's just something that eventually got to change. And look, my understanding is talking with people from Georgia, and it's not like they don't do anything about it. They don't have classes and education, and they talk to them and so forth. But it just continues to be a real problem. And it's something they have got to deal with, and they've got to get on with it. I know On3 did a story on it that said this is 84 Georgia players arrested in the Kirby Smart era. So the opposition teams and writers are using that against them, to say the least.
Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry, Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Go check them out at peachlanddental.com. And Rick on the Titan MR text line, he wanted to know, growing up or playing, did I have any nicknames? It was either Niner or Shaner, as most people call me. But his question here, and we're getting to the LSU Tigers, he says, what do you think of what's going on in Baton Rouge with Lane being Lane and some of his crazy quotes from an interview he did yesterday, and Will Wade putting together a team made up of NBA and G League dropouts with Euro League transfers? They seem to be getting a lot of heat from the counterparts throughout the SEC. What's going on in Baton Rouge, Brent?
I think the better question is what's not going on in Baton Rouge right now. Now, this was interesting, and this is one of the reasons that LSU's made a lot of changes in the three big sports: basketball, football, and baseball. LSU has done very poorly. They are 15-41. 15-41 in SEC play in the three major sports. Their worst conference record changed since 65 and 66. And people may not have heard this yet, but they actually have Ed Orgeron coming back.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be a special assistant to recruiting and defense. Even some of the LSU beat writers have written about this. Preston Guy had an article on it. He said, well, they paid $54 million to Brian Kelly, and then to bring in Lane Kiffin. Coach Orgeron is back. They're probably using $40 million for the portal. They brought Will Wade back in basketball because paying players is legal now. This is according to Preston Guy. So look, they're certainly making noise. They're on TV for the first game with Clemson. They've also got a incredibly interesting game with Ole Miss at Ole Miss, and then they come back the next week and they play A&M at home. So September is going to be a very interesting month for the LSU Tigers, isn't it, Shane?
Yeah, and I saw something the other day, and I don't know if it's finalized, but Florida won the all sports trophy for the Southeastern Conference with the most SEC titles, I believe. I think Texas was #2. LSU has zero SEC championships in any sport, and they are spending so much money across the board in all their sports. Kind of hard to believe, but we'll see. It is a circus, so to speak, in Baton Rouge. The Missouri Tigers, what's the update on Ahmad Hardy?
Yeah, this is really difficult. Ahmad Hardy is frankly one of the better running backs in the entire league. Frankly, now this probably has changed by now, but he was in the hospital for several days. Frankly, he got shot at a gathering. Look, he's going to be okay. As far as when he can come back, don't really know at this point. I mean, the main thing was it wasn't worse than it was. But look, this is, and he made, well, we don't really know what happened. Probably won't know what happened for a while. But, Shane, that this is the danger that all athletes are in, that they can show up at something and, the atmosphere goes haywire and you've got people who are shooting. So I'm just grateful that it wasn't worse than it was. But as far as his future and does he play, and you may have heard more on this over the last few days, but they're just hoping he gets home and he can start to heal.
Yeah, it's sad. He's a damn good player. We'll see what happens, but hopefully he can come back and play. You have grad Michael Schneider, a real estate attorney, can help you save thousands of dollars in real estate commissions by helping you sell your home or land by owner without a broker. Michael Schneider PLC serves the entire state of Florida. Contact Michael at mhschneiderplc.com. Brent, let's jump down to the Tennessee Vols. Not a whole lot. I just don't hear a whole lot coming out of Knoxville. What can you tell us what's going on up on Rocky Top?
Well, it's a quiet time, isn't it? Particularly for Tennessee. I think a lot of this is they're still trying to figure out, and they won't know this until they start playing, who the quarterback's going to be. George McIntyre, Faison Brandon, are the names you hear, and you hear different reports about how they're doing. But again, there's only so much you can gather from how the quarterbacks are doing if they're just throwing the ball a little bit and so forth. So they're trying to figure out where that's going. No, you're right about that. It is very quiet at Tennessee. I don't think the expectations, particularly with the offense, or what they were. Now, again, one thing we need to remember about Tennessee, they're bringing in almost a whole new defensive staff. And look, they may be better this year defensively than they are offensively. So that's something to keep in mind also along with this line too. So, and by the way, Shane, I just remember this. I'd be remiss if I didn't say it, but the preseason magazines are due in any day, which, gets me very excited. Athlon Lindy's Sporting News is back this year. Bill Bender, who is a friend, has told us that they are back doing their magazine. Phil Steele, of course, is doing his magazine. And it will be interesting to see where Tennessee's rated. And look, in this day and age, you know how this works. If you don't have a steady quarterback, people will rate you a lot lower than you probably should be.
Yeah, speaking of rankings, most people think the Texas Longhorns are going to be the #1 team in America. Tremendous pressure on them this year. Wouldn't you say, Brent, anything new on the 40 acres in Austin?
And basically just what you said. And we'll see this a lot more next week in Destin. A lot of people excited about Texas and where they're going to be. Archie obviously coming back. They've kind of rebuilt their line of scrimmage. I think they can run the ball better, which is going to be interesting. But again, it comes down to the line of scrimmage. Look, I think Archie will be a lot better than he was last year. Archie was much better, as Shane has said, in the second half of the season. Now, they've got Ohio State to start the year. That's coming up, and they've got them in early September. And that game's in Austin, so that will help them a lot too. But yes, there is a lot of excitement about Texas, very, very, very probably being preseason #1, or either them or Ohio State or Indiana, but Texas may be it.
Give us some nuggets before we get you out of here, Brent.
Yeah, Miami has got a commitment. Javon Dawson from the Lake Worth, 6'4", 215. And the kid's only 16 years old. That's amazing to me. So it'll be a while before he gets there, obviously, with this too. So that's one we'll have to watch. Things are pretty quiet at Florida State, and that may be for the better. Not a lot of people excited about what's going to happen at Florida State. either. I think there's still a lot of excitement at Ole Miss, certainly for the LSU game. That you hear a lot that's going on with there. But again, the things to remember, we're just a few days away, with Memorial Day coming up. SEC meetings are next week, and we'll have a lot to talk about during that time. And there's going to be a lot of discussion about the playoffs, and there's still a lot of other things for the SEC that will be talked about. So keep your eyes and ears glued to Destin next week. But again, the big date is the 1st of December. That's when the conferences have to make a decision on what they're going to do with the playoffs.
Yep, a lot of stuff happening, and before we know it, media days will be happening down in Tampa. Brent, good stuff as always. Appreciate your time. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next week, my man.
You too, brother. Enjoyed it. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird, college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, joining us on the Titan Moore Hotline. Gallo Car Wash is locally owned by UF alum, the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville in the city of Alachua. Take a quick time out. Come back. It'll be Win with JC. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, Castaway Sauce, UF Health Orthopedics, Michael Schneider PLLC, Florida Legends Gala and Experience, Money Metals, Sensei Asian Bistro. Our gridiron sponsors are Baker Sports, Florida Cracker Oyster, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheese Sticks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, International Gold and Diamond, Advocare, and MGA&A Wealth. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook or YouTube. Listen to podcasts wherever, on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And to advertise, be sure to call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Recent price spikes in groceries, healthcare, gasoline, steel, and lumber tell the story of inflation. As the reality of all this inflation sinks in, investors will be acting quickly to diversify and protect themselves, their families, and their assets. Low transaction costs are one reason Investopedia calls Money Metals the best dealer in America. Don't waste any more time. Start protecting your savings today with physical precious metals at moneymetals.com/go.
To the swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave Los Landeros Tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros Tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
The late, great Charlie Daniels would need a place for jewelry he could trust. He turned to International Gold, Diamond, and Watch Exchange.
Hi, I'm Charlie Daniels, and I live in Tennessee, but when I get ready to do something serious about jewelry or a gift for my wife or somebody, I always get in touch with the folks at International Gold and Diamond Exchange here in Gainesville. There's a lot of reasons for that. One reason is they sell nothing but the best.
Find out what Charlie was talking about for yourself at International Gold, Diamond, and Watch Exchange at 3440 West University Avenue and online at igdwex.com.
By now, you heard about the Florida Legends Experience in Gala, featuring Gator Heisman greats Tim Tebow, Danny Warfel, and Steve Spurrier, all in one place at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Imagine catching a pass or taking a handoff from a Heisman winner, all while supporting Isaiah 117 to help provide safe, loving homes for children in need. Then enjoy an unforgettable evening at the Gala, filled with great food and lasting memories. Don't miss this historic event. Find out how you and your business can get involved at FLLegends.com. That's FLLegends.com.
All right, we got pictures here. We got pictures here for the next 30 minutes. It's time to win with JC in the second half of Matthews in the Morning on every Thursday at 8:30, along with Zach Rothrock, who's going to join me here momentarily. We will start talking about how we can monetize the sports events of the weekend and of the day as we get ready for a huge Memorial Day weekend. Where do you start? You've got SEC baseball. You've got Major League Baseball. You've got golf in Dallas, Texas. Scotty Scheffler coming in as an under 2-1 favorite to win a tournament with over 140 golfers. If that's not ridiculous, I don't know what is. But hey, he did go 31 under last year at this golf course, although the golf course has been refurbished, or let's just say changed, to try to make it less of a pitch and putt for these guys. We've got the NBA playoffs, which are being right now we are in the conference finals of the NBA playoffs. So outstanding games, dramatic comebacks. We've got a 1-1 situation with in the West. We've got a 1-0 situation in the East with game 2 tonight between Cleveland and the Knicks. We're going to hit on that. We're going to hit on the SEC baseball tournament here in just a second. We've got NHL hockey, where my Colorado Avalanche, who I have in pocket to win the West and to win the Stanley Cup, go down on home ice to John Tortorella and the Vegas Golden Knights. And I've got to say about the Vegas Golden Knights, nobody's really talking about them winning it, but they might want to start. John Tortorella is a Stanley Cup winning coach. John Tortorella came in literally at the end of the season before the playoffs for Las Vegas and took that team over, and they have really been impressive in the postseason, and they get the win at Colorado without Mark Stone, their captain. Granted, Colorado's Cale Makar is hurt, so he's not effective. He's out. He's day-to-day like all of us are, so we don't know what that story is. That's a huge loss for Colorado if Cale Makar can't play. Nate, I am drawing a blank, but Nathan McKinnon, totally ineffective last night for Colorado. But let's get started with the SEC baseball tournament up in Birmingham. And by the way, this is a great event. In the SEC baseball tournament, you can actually attend this in Hoover, Alabama, in Birmingham, actually, but Hoover is where it's at. It's a suburb of Birmingham. You can attend the SEC baseball tournament and park for free. You can get a ticket for $15 and sit low. You can get a hot dog and souvenir and soda for maybe under $15. You can also buy a collectible baseball, that merchandise and stuff like that, under $15 and $20. And the fan zone, they say, whatever that is, for whoever wants to have their kids run around and burn some energy, that is also free. You can do all this for under $50. And I think that is where you get some value with your sporting discretionary dollar. But let's talk about today's game. Yesterday we had Mississippi State, Auburn, the Florida Fighting Gators, and Arkansas all win. And that means they play the teams that have double byes. Who are they? That would be the two Texas teams, Alabama and Georgia. So today we have 2 games, and tomorrow we have 2 games. Today we start off with Mississippi State and Georgia, the 2 Bulldogs. Minus 115 is your money line price, so it's basically the same regardless of who you play. Mississippi State won 12-2 yesterday against Missouri, hit the ball all over the place. The Florida Gators beat Vanderbilt 8-3. They are a $1.70 favorite against Alabama, a team that swept them earlier in the year, but this is a Florida team that has found their way and has started to hit the baseball. Aiden King pitched, I think, somewhere around, 40, 50 pitches. He didn't throw a lot of pitches yesterday. They didn't need him to. They win by 5 runs, and they are a 70-cent favorite. So one way to play this, if you don't want to lay a lot of juice, is you can parlay the Florida Gators. If you like the Florida Gators, and I suspect most people watching this like the Florida Gators, how can you win with them? You can parlay them with both of the other teams, Mississippi State and Georgia, because you're getting the same price on Hard Rock with Mississippi State and Georgia at -115. So you can take the Gators with either Mississippi State or Georgia and get 2-1. Or if you say, I think Alabama with the rested pitcher, the 2 days off, the home crowd probably at home more or less against either Mississippi State and Georgia and get 3-1. So you can bet either scenarios and come out ahead because of the odds you're going to get. Florida with either winner gets you 2-1. Alabama with either winner gets you 3-1. So that's one way to look at it. No odds posted for the 2 games tomorrow, but they will be outstanding games between Arkansas, Texas, and Auburn and Texas A&M. Then it's, of course, with single elimination. We'll go into semifinal games and then a final. And then that will be it for the SEC championship. And I would say a team like Florida has a lot riding on this, whereas before I would kind of dismiss these tournament games for teams that we already know are in it because of straight seeding. The Gators probably coming in around 9 or 10 as a seed before the tournament. They get out of here and beat Alabama, which would be their second win. That possibly gets them inside of a top 8 seed. Why is that important? Because the top 8 seeds get to host throughout as long as they win, meaning the Gators would host a regional, and then if they were to win that regional at home, which you would expect them to do, they would then get to host a super regional. So a top 8 seed, and Kevin O'Sullivan, I think, is very has said that this is a team that's just kind of trending, and we are trending now in the right direction at the right time of year. So I think Florida, -170 is a huge price to lay against a team that swept them earlier in the year, but also that's ranked higher in many polls. In some polls, they're ranked lower. But Alabama is no slouch, we'll say that. And Florida is almost a 2-1 favorite. That shows you the respect that they have in Vegas for the Florida Gator baseball team and for the way they are playing. So I like Florida. I don't like laying that price. And most likely, if I'm going to play the Gators, I will just parlay it with the other team and get with the other game. Regardless of who wins, 2 bets get you 197. That's a 2-1 payoff. Okay, that's baseball. That's baseball in Birmingham. We went through that pretty thoroughly, and I think it's exciting because this is the time of year where after this baseball season is over in college baseball, I get to July and I start thinking, okay, sports is done for 2025. We go into officially 2026 with football season in August, even though we have Wimbledon and we have the British Open, I think, in July. And those are the 2 real sporting events that are left for me in the sports year. So let's go to basketball. The NBA is lighting up now in the playoffs. Let's bring in Zach, who is been watching this. And Zach,
how's it going?
Last night, my man, it was great to see another over come in. Oklahoma City and San Antonio, the total was at 215, 216. They go in and they score 235 points, 122-113 in game 2. The game 1 score, San Antonio and OKC, 122-115. That was in double overtime. In that scenario, you had 2 overtimes, an extra 10 minutes in the game that should have really gone under. The Knicks game with Cleveland the other night should have easily gone under, but overtime carries the games over, and that's what you always have to worry about if you're a miserable under better. And I think under bettors are miserable, but they can cash just as easily. But it's hard to sit through an under when these teams are racing up and down the court scoring. Free throws are always a factor as well. The over is 3-0 so far in the playoff games. What did you see last night in that OKC win? I know that Jalen Williams for the Thunder is out. That's going to hurt them. I think in this. I think that's really going to hurt them. But in fairness, San Antonio's without Fox and Harper in the backcourt. These guys are game time decisions. Stephon Castle, outstanding effort. 38 minutes last night, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. But the problem was the turnovers. He had 9 turnovers. So Castle, you're going to put him out there as the point for San Antonio. You're asking a lot. What do you see in this series right now? Game 3 has OKC, or rather San Antonio, in San Antonio as a 1.5 point favorite.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest concern for the Spurs right now has got to be Dylan Harper with his hamstring injury.
Yeah.
Because they need him. They
Right.
need his guard scoring. They
Yes.
need that to take attention away from Wemby. And with the fact that's a
I agree
hamstring,
with that.
he I don't know if you guys noticed, but he went to the locker room during I think the third quarter last night, and then he tried to sprint back during the commercial break, and they said whoa 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 and sent him back.
Whoa.
So it's kind of one of those things where he's going to try to rush himself back, and when you do that with a hamstring, that can just cause a ton of issues. So the series more or less has gone how I had hoped it would go. I wanted to see the Spurs steal one on the road at OKC. We felt like it had to be tough to win game 2 after stealing game 1 in double overtime. So really, the Spurs played that game really well given the circumstances, and I'll be pretty surprised if this one doesn't go 6 or 7 games.
So will I, and I agree with that. I do think the injury situation is unfortunate. You're not getting the best that the teams have to offer, but I did think Castle played well filling in. So I don't know which way I like this. I think I just like to play both. I root for both teams and bet the over. Right now,
There you go.
215.5 just seems reasonable to me. I mean, it could easily go under, but
It
both
feels
games.
like there's a high chance for overtime in any game these two were in.
It does seem like they're really battling each other, and 235 points, 237 points in game 1. So that to me is asking a lot to go
And we have
under.
a comment here. They figured out Wemby, pound on him and bully him. And I will say that I do agree it was much better having Chet Holmgren and Harvenstein on him, even though I feel like they let Harvenstein kind of get away with murder. But in game 1, I don't know if you can see this picture right here, JC, but in game 1, they put Alex Caruso on Victor Wembanyama. And Alex Caruso, to me, I don't know if you're familiar with the 1996 hit film Space Jam, but he looks just like Elmer Fudd, the Looney Tune from Space Jam. That's all I can see every time I see Alex Caruso. And someone's brilliant genius plan that probably knows way more about basketball than I know thought that it would be a good idea to put Alex Caruso on Wemby. And yeah, he was able to force a couple of turnovers when the passes were bad, but I just don't understand why when you've got a guy like Holmgren and you've got a guy like Harvenstein, you don't put them on Wemby. In game 2, they did that. I feel like the referees really let Harvenstein get away with a lot. I don't think they would necessarily always do that. But yeah, put the 7-footer on the 7'4" guy. That makes a lot more sense.
It does make a lot more sense, and we'll see what the officiating what it's going to be like in now Texas as they move south into the Lone Star State for game 3. Tonight, game 2, Cleveland and New York. It is imperative. Cleveland, by the way, 195 on the money line. The Knicks minus 240. The spread is 6.5. The total 216.5. I was on the under in game 1. Should have easily won that. The Cleveland Cavaliers literally just died. And the Knicks go 44-12 or some kind of ridiculous number. They come back down 22 with 7 minutes to go. You know, at that point, threes are going down. People are running up and down the court. This is a miserable scenario for an underwood better. But tonight, 216.5 is your total. Is over under. The Knicks 6.5 as your favorite. And I think Cleveland is capable of winning this series. There's no question about it. But Cleveland better get off to a fast start tonight and better not fall behind, because I think what happens is that in this scenario, the Knicks are a bully team. If they know you're dead, they will go for the throat and kill you. They did it to the Hawks. They did it to the 76ers, just burying these teams, because when they smell blood, they fire. They come right at you. I think the Knicks will smell blood tonight if Cleveland shows, hey, we're just not going to win this series because we just can't do it over 4 quarters. And they had this game 1. Donovan Mitchell was outstanding until he decided to quit playing and quit scoring. And Jalen Brunson is, to me, the best player on the court. I know Donovan Mitchell probably is to many people's minds, but to me, it's Brunson. I don't care how they guard him, what seems to happen. He always goes over his total. Tonight, it's 27.5. I'll take that. I don't care. I'm tired of worrying about whether or not this defense can stop this guy or that guy. These guys score when they have to score. They get the ball when they get the ball. When they have the ball in their hand, they're always a threat to score. It seems like better than 50%. I'm taking him over 27.5. And I'm taking Donovan Mitchell over 27.5 because I think he has to score for this team to be close. And if you want to tie them up together and parlay both of those numbers, you will get a 2-1 plus 214 on Hard Rock. You'll get a 2-1 number on your parlay if you take both guys to go over their totals tonight, which is identical, 27.5. Karl Anthony Towns, points, assists, and rebounds, 33.5. He came nowhere near that in game one. I like the under again in game two, under 33.5 for points, assists, and rebounds. Mobley, points, assists, and rebounds over 27.5. I think that looks pretty good. So those are my player props for tonight. OG Anunoby, 14.5 points. The overs laid to 120. The under is 110. I think he plays better. He looked like he was slow returning from this hamstring. I think he got his. I think he's going to get more than 14.5 points tonight. I think that's another good player prop. You got any player props or any thoughts about this game, Zach?
Player props, no, that's not something I've dove into a lot. I will say that a lot of what you said made a lot of sense, especially your Jalen Brunson takes. My whole thing with this is the 22 to whatever run that the Knicks went on at the end. Actually, I think it was 30-8 at the end. That was coaching malpractice by Cavs coach Kenny Atkinson. He said he wanted to hold his timeouts for the end. I mean, good Lord, man. All they were doing was they were isolating and switching, and they were getting James Harden to guard Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson averaged 1.9 points per possession when that happened, which basically means he scored almost every single time. Now, during the regular season, and even throughout this playoff, I don't know what the exact number for Dean Wade guarding Jalen Brunson. During the regular season, Jalen Brunson was 1 for 16 when Dean Wade was guarding him. And I believe that he had a pretty decent defensive game against him in game one. But then in the fourth quarter, they just kept switching James Harden on him. And the Cavs just kept doing the same thing. And the Knicks just kept scoring. And they were just looking around expecting somebody to do something. Yeah. I feel like the players were waiting for the timeout, but it just never came. It was one of the craziest things I've seen in my life. You got to stop the bleeding. Yeah,
you got to stop the bleeding, yeah.
Yeah, and so heading into the series, I know you like the Knicks. I was leaning towards the Cavs, but after just seeing the way that Coach Kenny Atkinson handled that, I just feel like the air and the momentum has been completely sucked out of the Cavs. I think the Knicks have all the confidence in the world right now, and now I say that they could come out completely flat in game two and whatever, but I just don't see that happening. I think the Knicks are going to win this game in, I think, probably 5 games, or win the series in 5 games at this point.
Well, I have the Knicks in the conference to win. I also have them to win the NBA championship at 8-1. I do agree, though, with what MSRK has to say. He says the winner of the title will come out of the West and win it in 5. So either San Antonio or Oklahoma City. Well, I would say that's easy to say today, but I'm looking at numbers. I'm not so looking at teams just yet because I don't know who's going to be healthy to play. I don't think the Spurs are automatic winner over the Knicks without those guards. I think Jalen Williams is very important for Oklahoma City. I don't think that's an automatic winner against the Knicks. Because I think once the Knicks get going offensively, that team can run with anybody. Look at the point production. And granted, it is Atlanta and it is Philadelphia. I get it. But look at what OKC's had to play. Who have they played? I mean, what have they played? That really blows your mind now. The Lakers, come on. So this is, to me, closer than that 8-1 number, and that's why I jumped on it with the Knicks. I don't think you can get that now, and you definitely won't get it if they win tonight. Because if Oklahoma City and San Antonio beat each other's brains out and this series goes 7, the Knicks are sitting there rested, fully ready to go, I think you're looking at a number much lower than 8-1. So that's why I took the Knicks earlier after they scored, 280 points in 2 games against 2 NBA teams that are in playoffs.
Yeah.
So I see what MSRK is saying, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if that were the case, but I just don't think these teams are 100%. Health-wise.
Well, yeah, I tend to agree with MSRK on this. I felt like the West, the Spurs and Thunder in particular, are head and shoulders just that much better than any team that could possibly come out of the East. Having said that, I do fully understand your logic of this is the best price you're going to get on the Knicks. You don't know what the team is going to look like. And yeah, a couple injuries could happen, a couple of shots go the other way, a couple calls go the other way, and all of a sudden the Knicks are world champions. So yeah, I definitely understand your logic, but I tend to agree that the Western teams are head and shoulders better than the East teams.
John Jett 5463 wants to know my thoughts on the Cavs. Well, I was saying they better get off to a fast start, and I think they're very capable of winning this series, but I bet on the Knicks, so I'm not rooting for the Cavs. But I do see an angle on the Cavaliers. If they come by even if the game is close tonight and they don't win, going home really does fix you. Look at what happened in the Pistons series, right? I mean, they go down 2 games, they get back home, all is well with the world again, and then they
Right.
kind of trade games. But winning Game 7 showed me a lot with this Cleveland team, because the way they played in Game 6 in that last series, I gave up on them. At that point, it was over for me. But they came back and they won Game 7 against the Pistons, and that was impressive to me. So I don't think the Cavaliers are dead money. John Jett, 5463. I do think the Cavaliers are live, but jeez, man, I'm on the
think
mix.
I would have the Cavs winning that game 3, that first game back on their home court, but then I had the Knicks winning every other game and winning in 5. I just think they blew it.
They did blow it. They absolutely blow it. You can't lose a 22-point lead with under 8 minutes to go and say you didn't blow it. They absolutely just gagged.
Oh, yeah.
And James Harden looks so old out there. He can't guard. When they double team him, he can't. And by the way, he can't guard Brunson. So I think Brunson's going to get his points. Of those 5 player prop bets, my favorite one is Brunson over 27.5. He's always going to he's always going to have the ball in his hand. He's either going to get fouled, he's going to make a shot. I think 27.5 is doable. It's a lot of points. It is, but he's a guard. I kind of like that. And Mitchell easily over 27.5. I mean, it doesn't mean he is tonight, but in that Game 1, he was unstoppable. And I think if Cleveland is seriously going to be a contender, he has got to take over and stay with it for the entire game. All right, we spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time on NBA. I'm going to get to NHL real quick. We'll do some Major League Baseball for tonight as well. Real quick, in the hockey last night, Vegas, very impressive over Colorado, 4-2. They have really crashed my Colorado series in pocket play and NHL Stanley Cup champion play. And let's look at Vegas. Might as well. Even without Mark Stone, they are still 3.5, plus 3.5, plus 350. To win the cup. They were 500 to win the cup. It's amazing what one game can do, but to win this series, Vegas is still very much the underdog and gets even money. Colorado is minus 115. They were 200, Vegas was, and now they're even money. So you were getting 2-1 before this game, and then they win Game 1 in Denver. This series could go 6 or 7 without any question, but Colorado needs Cale Makar back. They need him healthy. It's very vague when they talk about injuries in hockey because, upper body, middle body, lower body, well, they do that because they don't want the other guys to target, what's really wrong. Oh, it's an ankle. Oh, it's a knee. Oh, it's a hip. It's a shoulder, so on and so forth. Tonight, Carolina is back on the ice after 12 days off. Montreal has won 2 straight 7-game series. They won Game 7s on the road. They won Game 7 at Buffalo. They won Game 7 at Tampa Bay. This team has shocked me, and it's mostly because of the goaltender, but their power play is insanely good. So this series is going to be about Carolina's penalty kill, Montreal's power play, and which goalie. Is it Freddie Anderson or is it Dovish who plays better in the net between the pipes for these two teams? I think this is a 6-game series if you wanted to take a series bet, because I do think Montreal is good enough to win 2 games, but Carolina is a suffocating defensive team, and Carolina is a rested team. Carolina is a huge favorite in this series, and tonight's game, they are a 2-1 favorite. Montreal plus 165. Montreal plus 1.5 is minus 165, and that plus 1.5 is just on the goal line or the puck line. I like that bet, getting 1.5. Laying the 165, which is typically something I would never want to do. That's a lot of juice, but getting a goal and a half with Montreal is a team that doesn't quit, by the way, and it's just amazing on the road. And speaking of home ice, there is no home ice advantage in the NHL playoffs this year. The home team is 5 games under 500. They are 31-36 on home ice in the NHL playoffs this year. And in the last 5 games of the playoffs in the NHL, the last 5, the visiting team has won. I can't explain that, but it really doesn't. I think it totally minimizes what they think is home ice advantage. Although Carolina has not lost a game at home. Carolina has a great home ice advantage with those fans. Fans are great in any home arena, but for some reason, it seems like Carolina is one of the best environments at home for their hockey team. The total tonight is 5.5. I would tend to go under that, and I hate unders. Money line, Montreal plus 165. Puck line, though, is my bet, plus 1.5, minus 165. Carolina for the series looks pretty good to me, but that is a huge, huge number. I don't know. To win the cup, you've got Montreal at plus 600. You've got Carolina at plus 220. I might want to look at Carolina for the Stanley Cup there. But I got to watch these teams play. I mean, 12 days off. They're very rested, but that also means they could be a little rusty too. And Montreal is absolutely battle tested. We've got just a few minutes left. Let me run through baseball today in the major leagues. A lot of afternoon games. I want to go through this quickly because of time. But how about those Tampa Bay Rays? They are 8-2 in the last 10 games. They are 33-15. They are up 4 on the New York Yankees. They are going to New York this weekend. The Rays sweep the Orioles. They get a late inning offensive surge, score 4 runs, and beat the O's. If Tampa Bay adds one more hitter in that lineup and maybe one more pitcher in the bullpen, Tampa Bay is your favorite to win the American League. And I will argue that with anybody. This team is they're gutsy and they're well coached. All right, so let's go to the board today. Detroit minus 125. The Tigers suck. The Tigers have lost 10. Last 10, they've lost 8 games. They've lost 5 in a row. Cleveland, on the other hand, has won 8 games in their last 10. They have won 5 in a row. Cleveland going for the sweep today, but I like Casey Mize of the Detroit Tigers with a 2.43 RA to stop the run and to get the Tigers, who are laying 125. I'm not big on that either. I might look at a first 5 bet. Take the Tigers with Casey Mize. Pittsburgh and St. Louis. St. Louis is a good team. Pittsburgh is not bad either. Pittsburgh wins 7-0 yesterday. St. Louis plus 110. I like that. I like the over 7.5 in that game. The Yankees and Toronto. I like the over 8.5. Carlos Rodon, 8 walks in 8 innings. He's not been healthy. He's only pitched once, I think. The Yankees are plus 125, minus 1.5 on the run line. I like that as well. The A's and Angels. Soriano goes for the Angels tonight. He is 6-3 with a 2.41 ERA. The Angels are probably the worst team in baseball. The A's, not bad. The average run total for the Angels is 3 runs at home. They don't score. Both teams in this series have lost leads in the 9th inning, so this is the rubber game. I'll go with the better pitcher, Soriano. I wouldn't mind the first 5 bet in that one. And then Arizona and Colorado. I like Arizona. I think their offense is starting to come on. I also like the over 9.5 in that game, but I would take Arizona minus the 1.5 on the run line. Go plus 100. And if you have a future tendency, if you want to put some money aside and see if you can win a futures bet, the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Central are getting 150 to win the division. This is a good division with a lot of teams that are all above 500. St. Louis is 14-1. The Cubs are plus 115. They've gone down to 110. The Reds are 17-1. The Pirates are 10-1. And the Cardinals are 13-1 to win the division. On Hard Rock, but the Milwaukee Brewers 8-2 in their last 10. I think this is the best team in that division.
I'm with you on that.
Pitching.
Yeah, they're hot. They got the Miz. Oh yeah.
Take 150. Get 50 cents. Get with 50 cents if you don't mind sitting on money for 8 months, which I hate. But if
that's the bad part.
Yeah, that is the bad part. But Zach, it's the Milwaukee Brewers in the NAS Central. You still get plus 150.
They're the most legit team.
Also. I think so. I think the pitching is just that good. So Cliff Saunders is right. Cleveland's won 5 in a row. Detroit's lost 5 in a row. And you like Detroit. Well, this is baseball, Cliff. And no, I don't like Detroit. I don't like them at all. But I think their pitcher tonight, I think Casey Mize is a very good pitcher. He's got a low ERA, but that's a shaky play. Shaky play. You want to go first 5 innings, maybe do that. I wouldn't mind. But there's a reason why they are laying 125. So that's it. I mean, baseball is quick. It hits fast. Couldn't even get to the PGA, but one bet I did notice, Scotty Scheffler to win the tournament this weekend in Dallas is plus 170. There's 140 golfers. That's a horrible bet. Don't bet this golf until the weekend. That's my best advice. You got anything left before we leave, Zach?
No, man, I'm still rolling with the Spurs. I've been on for a couple of months at this point, and I can't cash out the ticket at this point. So let's go.
Okay. We're with you. We're with you. I like it. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock with Shane Matthews on Matthews in the Morning. We'll see how we did on the SEC games. Again, the Gators minus 170. Parlay them with either team, Mississippi State or Georgia, and you get 2-1 odds if you like the Gators. All right. Have a good one, folks. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your bets.